All right. Well, let's make this happen. So society may be extremely restless right now, but I believe it's still considered to be polite. So in polite society, we start with introductions. Tell the lovely people of the interwebs who you are and what you do.
Hi. What's up, everybody? This is my first time ever doing a Zoom meeting. My name is Allie. I go by Oxenblood. I'm a tattoo artist and a mom. I'm a new mom of two. I own a tattoo shop called Ravenwood Collective in Lawrenceville. And yeah, that's what I do.
All right, on. Well, you've made quite a few of my friends into pretty incredible walking pieces of art. Beyond being extremely well done, the look, feel, and techniques that you use are they seem to be pretty different. What would you say? Like, what's your? Do you have a particular style? Is there anything that you'd say that is like your specialty?
Um, I consider myself primarily a storyteller with the art that I do. I don't necessarily try to take on a certain style with each composition. Um, I kind of let the style flow through the story that needs to be told. So I don't really know how to define myself stylistically beyond that because I kind of bleed over into a lot of different things depending on what the piece or the person needs. But a lot of people say my style is painterly or watercolor, although that's not necessarily what I intentionally set out to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I've definitely seen elements of that in all the people that I've seen your work on. So, and I think your response was actually pretty apt considering what I've seen, especially what I've seen in person. Um, I mean, uh, we may have to chat actually after this, anyways. I have a whole slew of designs that I've been this whole shut-in situation just has your mind racing. Now I have a million design ideas that I want done, and of course it's at a time where it can't be done. Um but
yeah.
so now that we have like a little bit more about you, take us deeper into Ravenwood Collective. What are your favorite things about your shop? What do you know about it that the world should know?
Hmm. Um, Let me think. Well, I started the shop about 4 years ago, um, not really knowing exactly what it was going to be, um, other than a place that I was going to do tattoos and hopefully have some art stashed up front, gallery style. And over the last couple of years, I've somehow or another acquired this incredible team of people that really work harmoniously together. I think that's probably my favorite part about the shop. I've got such a good crew of people, and we all it it's almost like a kaleidoscope of energy in there because we all have different styles and different things that we bring to the table, but together we kind of bounce all of this energy and light and excitement and creativity off of each other. Um, Sometimes we can be a little bit competitive, but I think in a really positive way. Like, um, somebody will get into some new type of art project, and that makes the rest of us want to get into it too. And I really dig that. I've never really had that type of environment before in other studios I've worked at. I've worked in great studios, don't get me wrong, um, but just to have a dynamic where we actually really all like each other and respect each other and push each other to grow. Um, it's made some really amazing things come out of that.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I haven't I've usually just been a like a freelance worker, just kind of working with myself and then sometimes thrown into the mix with other teams. But I've never actually like been a part of a team until I got into the mix of some good print. And you really do know when you have a good team. Like there's just there it's not it may not be like something that you can put to words, but it's a true quantifiable feeling. You know that you know when you feel it for sure. You
Yeah.
know it when you know it. But so obviously with like the stay-at-home order, social distancing, and all the fun stuff we've been doing over the past 2 months, I imagine that makes tattooing and piercing virtually impossible. Have you been able to operate any aspects of the business at all?
We're all just kind of trying to flex our fine art muscles right now. Um, and, luckily, I would say a lot of tattooers are, uh, a lot of us come from a grittier, rough around the edges hustler kind of background. Not all of us, but a lot of us do. I think, at least from an artist standpoint, we've all been poor before. This is nothing new to us. Definitely not to me. you know, um, this is just par for the course for artists. But we've been fortunate enough that our shop does well, and um, we have savings and things to work off of. But in the meantime, we've all been just trying to get commissions and um, various side projects going. One of our artists also is super into magic, so he's like building a magician table right now. And um, two of my artists are amazing painters, so they're just pumping out painting after painting. I can't believe how many paintings they cranked out. My other artist is a musician, so she's writing music. She's got like a little creative, I don't know what you would call it, like a variety talent show thing going on right now. Um, and I got to be creative, reproductively speaking, and have a baby. So that's my project right now. And in between nursing and changing diapers, I'm trying to, also be as creative as all these guys I'm working with and try to keep
Right.
up with. So
Right. So how many people are working with you at the shop?
I've got Steve Irwin. He started with me a couple of years ago. And he's someone I've always looked up to in the industry. He's been tattooing for a while longer than me. He called me up a couple of years ago and was like, "Man, I'm not digging this shop I'm at. Can I work with you?" And I was just like, "Hell yeah, man." So that's been good. And then Bonnie Ramone started after, about a year after he was hired. She's a total badass. She's the musician I was talking about. She plays in a killer band, Bonnie Ramone and the Mere Mortals. She's got a really cool kind of retro sort of neo-traditional style. And then I hired Crystal Flora and Lauren Toohey shortly after her. I hired them right around the same time. And they're my super fine artists. They have more of a painting background. You can definitely see that in their tattooing. But yeah, so it's all of us right now. And then we've got a shop manager and an apprentice. So it's a full shop right now.
Right on. Well, I mean, I guess it's not very surprising that a tattoo shop would be packed full of creatives. Um, that being said, everywhere I've seen online that has a description about your shop states very explicitly that it's very much an art gallery as much as it is a tattoo and piercing shop. To that end, coincidentally, you and I are linking up in the middle of a pretty awesome contest the shop is running. So the stage is yours. Tell everybody about what's going down there.
Oh yeah. Well, we are forced to be unemployed right now, I guess, as in a man. Yeah, well, we are. Um, I think because we fall into this weird category where we are similar to salons in that we can't practice social distancing, right? You can't be 6 feet away or more from someone and tattooing them. So as of right now, we think we're probably going to be stuck in the green phase of reopening. But really tattoo artists are in the dark right now. We also kind of fall into more of a almost a medical procedure kind of category too, which is interesting because we use a lot more personal protective equipment and universal precautions than, say, a nail salon. So we had to close our doors on March 14th, and we were anticipating on reopening in May, but now it looks like it may be June or even later. So we're just trying to, like I said earlier, work on side projects and getting out as much of our fine art to people as we can. So we decided to put together a raffle, which is almost $1,500 worth of original paintings, fine art, prints, t-shirts, stickers, and tattoo time. We're just hoping to get, a little bit of money in the pockets of all of the artists that haven't been able to work, just to pay their bills until we're able to tattoo again. So we're going to split it up just to try to keep going for another month or so. But right now we're running this contest until March 5th or May 15th. That's 3 days from now. Sorry, I just
was
had
that Friday?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, is that Friday? Yep, it's Friday. It's Friday. So on Friday, we're going to pull 3 names for our first, second, and third place. Each package is a bundle of stuff. So obviously the first place package is the big one. It's got a ton of like I said, prints and stickers. I think it's the whole shebang. It's something from every artist. A couple of really badass paintings from Lauren Toohey, one of a kind. A super killer David Bowie print from Bonnie. $300 worth of tattoo time. Bunch of other stuff. Some of our retail from the front of the shop. We've got local handmade stuff that we're giving away from various consignment artists we have there too. And second place is $200 worth of tattoo time, and third place is $100 worth of tattoo time, plus all of the different things that each of the artists decided to put into each bundle. I can't remember. There's so much stuff. I can't remember specifically what all is in each package. But yeah, if you are interested in entering to win, you can go to our Instagram, Ravenwood _collective, or you can also go directly to our PayPal link, which is I will tell you in 1 minute. It's paypal.me /Ravenwood giveaway. But if you have Instagram, you can find all the information on our Instagram. So we're doing $20 to enter, unlimited entries, and yeah, right now we're hoping just to get a couple of more entries before we pull these 3 names.
Right on. Well, I've definitely been through the prize photos of everything that's been posted online, and everything that you guys have up for grabs is ridiculously awesome. If someone just gets one ticket and lands one of those prizes, it's the amount that they're getting for the amount that they spent is just absurd.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for. We're hoping that, it makes some people really happy, and also, we pay our rent. So yeah, that's the goal.
Well, on like that end of things, it's been like the long running story, the never ending nightmare that small businesses just cannot get a response from the government for any aspect of the stimulus package that like they've applied for. Um, did you apply for any of the stimulus package, or have you heard anything back? Or are you one of the lucky ones?
Oh, sorry, you froze for a minute.
Oh, you
Um,
okay? I
can
froze
you
too.
still hear me okay, Eli?
Yeah, yeah. Did you hear what I said? Did you apply for the stimulus package at all? And have you heard back from the government? It seems to be the nightmare that no one's hearing anything back. It seems like it's total radio silence. And just, are you one of the lucky ones? Have you heard anything?
So a few weeks ago, I got an email from my bank saying that my application for the um, what is it, the Paycheck Protection Program went through. Um,
That's amazing.
there's some fine print saying that pending federal government approval or something like that, or SBA approval. Um, so I'm thinking that means that we got it, but I haven't been able to get through to my bank to get any more information. I haven't actually gotten any paperwork since then. Um, so in theory, hypothetically, I believe that I did actually qualify for one of those loans that, from what I understand, is not really a loan, but is a loan depending on how good my accounting skills are, something like that. So I'm not holding my breath waiting for the government to bail me out. I'm going to do whatever I can to just keep hustling and keep working and keep pumping out artwork, because if we're able to get it, cool, that's awesome, but I don't expect anything out of it. So
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus of most people at this point. They just uh they're, if it comes, great, but it seems like people aren't really holding out a whole lot of hope because I mean, what signs has anybody given them? Uh but it's amazing that you at least heard back. I haven't heard that from too many people, so I'm very happy for you on that front. What that actually means, who knows? But I am happy that at least that much has happened for you.
hey,
So selfishly, I want to pivot a little bit to the living necklace you're wearing right now. Um, I say selfishly because so you just went through something that looks like my family will be facing as well. You had a baby in the middle of all this craziness. Congratulations, by the way. Um, it's looking like my sister may have to do the same. Can you just tell me what that was like how it all played out?
yeah, sure. It was a wild adventure, man.
I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah, to say the least. Um it was intense. So I think in in March, right around the same time that we found out that the shop was probably going to have to shut down, right when the whole COVID thing started to, all of the news started to break here. I found out simultaneously that my daughter, Helena, was breech. And this whole time I thought she was in a really good position. And it turns out that she's been head up the whole time. So for those of you that don't know much about baby having, if your child is breech, 99% of doctors and hospitals are going to recommend that you go in for a C-section. Um, I have lots of friends that have had C-sections, but I've always had a huge, almost irrational fear. Well, maybe not irrational. I mean, it's abdominal surgery, to
Right.
have a C-section. So, but this whole time I had been planning on having my daughter at a small birthing center, the midwife center, and not a hospital. And they definitely won't deliver a breech baby. So all of a sudden, my baby is due in a couple of weeks. It's pretty late in the game to find out that my daughter is breech. She's basically full term, which means there's not a lot of room in there for her to move. The midwives said to me, you know, we want you to try to get her to turn. We're going to schedule for a procedure called a version, which I had to do in a hospital. And they said basically, you know, there's a small chance that your daughter will flip, but if she doesn't, there could be fetal distress or complications, and you may have to have an emergency C-section. So it was my last week of scheduled work before I was supposed to go on maternity leave. And then I find out the shop is shutting down, and then I find out that I have to go into this hospital for this procedure. And hospitals are not letting significant others into the rooms with them, and you know, all of this stuff is happening all at once, and I was pretty freaked out by it. But I think during this whole thing, like everything that was going on in the world, and then personally with what was going on with me, I kind of realized that I was having a mental battle, I guess, that I had to focus on over my physiological state. I don't know if I'm making much sense right now.
I definitely get it.
So with my first child, Bjorn, he was not breech, but he was posterior, which means his head was face down, not face up. I think I have that right, or maybe face up. I don't know. His head was turned in a way that causes a baby to be difficult to be pushed out. It doesn't like align with the bones of the pelvis, and can sometimes cause a really long labor. So I went into that birth thinking like, I got this. I get tattooed all the time. I wanted to have a natural childbirth like with Helena. And I ended up being in labor for almost 50 hours. And I felt completely defeated and lost a lot of faith in my body. And so the second time around, when I found out my daughter was breech, I kind of was feeling the same thing. I was feeling like my body had failed me. And then externally, I was feeling like the world was failing me, you know, with everything going on. And I think a few days before this version, I started to, for whatever reason, change my mental state. It was the only thing that I really felt like I had control over. So with the closing of my shop, I was kind of able to go internally into my head space, I guess, and try to sort through some shit that I haven't been able to sort through ever. The stuff, you know, I feel like everybody has a dragon that they have to slay somewhere in the dark corridors of their mind, and it's different for everybody, you know, but we all have that thing, right? And that was what I had to do to be able to get through this birth. Whether that was real or not, in my head, that's what I felt like I had to do. I didn't have any control over if my daughter was going to flip, or if I was going to give birth in a hospital or not, or if I was going to give birth all alone or not. I had no idea, you know, but I felt like I could, I guess, surrender control to that and work on the fears that I had internally. So it's hard for me to articulate this, Eli. You know, I'm still sort of sorting it all out in my head, but I think about this kind of stuff a lot because of my profession. When I tattoo people, there is a certain level of discomfort that they're going through, right, to get tattooed. And I get to watch these transformations happen all the time, every day that I'm tattooing people. I watch people overcome something difficult and transform. And that is like a tenth of what it's like when you give birth. You know, you're going through that like exponentially. And so I knew that coming out of this, no matter what happened, there was going to be some sort of transformation that occurred. So I don't know if well, I think I do know. I think that getting into that head state actually did make a big difference with the overall outcome and experience of giving birth. So I went in for this version. Matt got to go with me, which was good. My significant other, and we go into the hospital, and this guy, this huge giant of a man, this doctor that delivers babies, he also does this thing called aversion, where he grabs your belly, grabs a woman's belly, and turns the baby through your stomach. It's just, it was really crazy to me. You know, he lifts up your belly and like flips the baby around. And
You're spinning my guts.
I've heard, well, from the midwives that this procedure is pretty painful, right?
Oh, really?
A lot of women hook up to an epidural when they do this procedure, and it can also be distressing on the baby too. And I'm researching stuff that a couple of days before, and maybe I shouldn't have researched stuff because I ended up finding out that there's like a 55% success rate for this. So I'm like, oh man, my odds are not that great, you know. And that success rate is when a baby is not full term, when they're smaller. So I was just, like I said, trying to work on slaying those mental dragons, you know. So I go in there, and this oaf of a man is like, oh, I don't do epidurals. We're not doing that. I'm just going to flip this baby. And he oils up my stomach, and he's pushing on my stomach, pushing and trying to get her to like somersault, and it's not working. And I'm just somewhere else, man, you know. My brain is just like I can do this. I've got to do this. So it was like I floated up, you know, out away from it. And then he was like, you know, I'm gonna try something else. And he pushes her backwards. He gets her to do a backflip, and she flipped. It was just this crazy thing. So
I've been holding my breath through like this whole thing, by the way. This is like an intense story.
it was really intense, man. I had no idea that such a thing existed, that there is a profession where a guy with bare paw hands pushes babies around in people's bellies. I mean, it was crazy. I should back up and say Matt and I also put in a lot of work before that procedure. We did some research and did this thing called spinning babies. So it was like, you know, all the crazy stuff, like headstands and whatever. I did it all. I just was like, I'm gonna whatever increases my chances of this working. So every night for those couple of days, we were doing hours of these strange exercises. But
they always say the biggest difference between luck and opportunity is how much you're prepared for it.
Yes. So I think, like, and again, I don't know if I was able to articulate this very well. I think that the physical work we put into all of this was important, but most importantly was this head state that I had to get into. That was where the real work went in. You know, it was it's weird when you're pregnant. You have this, well, I've felt this. There's this awareness that you have a direct connection to another human, right? You know, and it's
Literally.
like, literally. So every time I'm freaking out over something, I'm thinking I have like a force of energy that I'm sending to this little tiny person. I'm feeding this person bad vibes or good vibes, you know?
Yeah, shared experiences.
So it made it made my head state a lot more tangible. You know, it was like a reminder that like this isn't an abstract concept. This is real, and I don't want to be. I need to be strong for more than just me right now, you know. But anyway, so we did the physical work. We did the preparation. You know, it wasn't just crossing our fingers, like you said. It wasn't luck. Maybe it was luck, but we put in that. I think if
It wasn't all luck.
Yeah, maybe it made like a 5% difference, you know, but every little bit that you do, you know, a couple percentage points here and there, every little thing you do, it ends up adding up.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then I started feeling contractions a couple of days after she flipped, and I think about a week later, I went into labor, and I was still really battling being afraid because of my first experience with labor. But at least this time around, I knew I didn't have to be in a hospital. And man, you know, I've never been so grateful I never thought I would be so grateful for an unmedicated natural childbirth. But after feeling like I was going to have a C-section in a hospital with all of this COVID shit, I was like thrilled to be able to like just push out a baby without any medicine, you know?
Right. So you got to go to the midwife?
Yeah. So I went to the midwife center, and they had 4 other people in there all in labor at the same time. So the midwives kind of left me and Matt alone. We were just hanging out in a little room. I labored in there for about 5 hours, and midwives they're special humans, man. They're tuned in to people. They're tuned into women on a deeper level, I think, than most doctors. They knew when it was time to come in and catch the baby. and so I think if it was my first kid, I would have been terrified that they left me alone so long, but it was actually pretty cool to just trust my body and let nature do what it does. And yeah, that was that. It was a pretty wild experience, but it was, you know, it was nice to have Matt there and to not be in this super populated, you know, scary big space with a bunch of people wearing masks, you know. So yeah, it was good.
Wild. That's so wild. So is it the one that I think it's down in the Strip? Is that where you went? So yeah, I have 2 sisters, and one has done both ways. Her first kid was in the hospital. Her second one she had in Pittsburgh and did the midwife. My other sister is all about the hospital experience. And I think what she likes about it the most is the next couple of days she actually gets to sleep, because they're kind of like all the hospital workers are kind of taking care of the baby and everything like that. So she gets to sleep a little bit for a couple of days. But don't quote me on that. And if she watches this, sorry for telling your secret.
I've heard other women say that too. It's a good point. It's a very good point. I had like this weird adrenaline rush after having Helena. I was like, Matt, let's go for a hike. And he's like, I think we need to sleep for like 24 hours. So it hit me a couple of days later though, and I think I really wished I had that sleep. But yeah, not till like 2 or 3 days in, then I was like, oh shit, what am I in for?
So that is you just took me on a totally unexpected adventure that I knew what I was going to ask you about this, but I had no idea what I was actually getting into. Holy cow. So now you have to navigate being a new mom, a business owner, and then also still be like a functional person in general. So just as a human, like, how are you doing in all of this? I feel like this is a lot.
Thanks, Eli. it's nice to have someone ask. Um, I think I'm doing about as well as all of us can be doing right now, you know? I guess my situation is different in a weird sort of way, in that I was planning on staying home right now anyway, you know? So I was preparing for maternity leave. So mentally I was planning on being here anyway. But you know, I, my my struggles are, I think it is, as soon as I had Bjorn, I realized my biggest struggle with being a mom is finding a balance between being a selfish artist and being a mom. You know, I really like to have autonomy. I want to be able to go away and draw for 8 hours, or I don't know, listen to death metal really loud and not have a baby cry. So that's always been a struggle. I'm rediscovering that now that I have a newborn. So I think that it helps me to be more disciplined, to be a mom and a business owner and an artist. You know, I don't have as much time as I wish that I had to be creative, and I find that ideas are still in my head, but I don't have a moment to act on them, and that can be really frustrating for me, really discouraging. But I know that the benefits end up being more than I anticipate or have anticipated. So the self-discipline that I've developed from motherhood has actually pushed me farther as an artist than before I was a mom, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually kind of amazing.
I
I
think
mean, it
it's all,
forces you to evolve, right? It forces your process to be different. It has to be.
yeah, yeah. So prior to being a mom, I think I used to be the kind of artist that I could sit down and work for maybe 15 hours. You know, I could do a big long stretch uninterrupted, and I like to do that. And now it's any moment I can. If it's just 5 minutes while Matt's driving, or, you know, even one-handed while I'm nursing, 10 minutes here, 8.5 minutes there, I can now go deep into that creative headspace much faster than I used to be able to. I don't have the luxury of waiting for inspiration to hit me and then, you know, just being uninterrupted for hours and hours. So I think that muscle has gotten stronger to be able to go right into that headspace when I need to, and just learning how to prioritize stuff. You know, like I know right now I'm not going to be able to get 20 things done on my to-do list each day. I just know that. But I found that just forgoing all of that and just focusing on one or two things a day, but like the big important shit, maybe even just one thing, you know, that can sometimes, I think, even carry a creative person further than trying to get a ton of stuff done. So my output is not the same as I used to have, but I try to make the quality of my output much better, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people have said this before. It's, you know, kind of I guess it's like kind of a token line, but like, you know, quantity over or quality over quantity, you know?
absolutely, yeah, I believe in that. So and I even try to take that approach with my tattooing. You know, I only schedule a couple of big projects each month, normally when I'm working, so that I can really take the time to dive way into those projects. And when I first did that, I suffered a little bit monetarily, but it ended up bounding back because the quality of my work increased so much that it justified me reducing the amount of big projects I did every month. So I found it to be better to kind of titrate in for myself, to have set boundaries for myself and limit my focus. And I wouldn't have figured that out if I wasn't forced into it by being a parent. I don't think.
Well, right on. Well, I mean, so even though, I mean, we just kind of addressed this a little bit, like, as a new mother, it's not like an overabundance of time is something that you have a lot of these days. Uh, creativity aside, are you just finding anything like new and fun to do while we're in the middle of all this? Is there any like new thing you're exploring besides, motherhood?
Yeah, I've been taking some art classes. I'm doing some online art classes. Um, I recently listened to a podcast interviewing a tattooer named Pooch, like a badass realism artist. Um, he also does really incredible colored pencil portraits. And this guy, man, he's such a rock star. But he was talking in this podcast about, I think he's been tattooing for over 2 decades, but he's started redoing apprenticeships under artists that he admires, even though he's been tattooing for, um, you know, and almost as long as I've been alive. This guy he's spending 6 months, 8 months, whatever, with an artist that he looks up to, even if this artist has only been tattooing for 5 or 6 years. And he's like, hey man, teach me everything you know, and don't hold back. And I was so inspired by that. I thought, man, that's so badass. So I've been drilling the fundamentals and the rudimentary stuff that I haven't done since high school, and I don't like it really. I want to skip past all that stuff, but
It's humbling, right? Takes you down to the very base of you, square one.
yeah, yeah, it's I remember, like, in ninth or 10th grade doing these life drawings and thinking, this is stupid, man. I don't know, I want to draw somebody on a skateboard. I don't want to draw a jar of olives, like. But yeah, it's definitely humbling, and it's helping me to, I think it's helping me to make bigger leaps and bounds than just doing the stuff that makes me comfortable. If I was just at home doing watercolor paintings, I don't think I would be feeling the same growth right now. So that's been pretty cool, to kind of go back to all of that. It's hard. It's harder than I thought it would be. Not that the drilling of it is hard, but getting myself to sit down and do that, it's hard. I'm doing some commission work for some clients, and that's been cool. I haven't really done too many commissioned pieces of art in my life, so been exploring different mediums, like oil painting and mixed mediums. And what else am I doing? I've been doing some boring stuff, working on trying to fix up the shop while we're closed. So redoing my floor, which is an art project in and of itself. And taking care of babies.
Well, we're like right at the end, so this is like perfect timing.
Oh,
So my whole thing with this interviewing process and whatnot is I just wanted to provide some sort of a way for us to kind of connect while like we're forced to be so distant from each other. And I thought one cool way to do that is to be able to let you ask the people watching any question you want. So for all the people that are watching, what do you want to ask them? Doesn't have to be crazy serious. It totally can be. It can be stupid and silly. It can be whatever you want.
all right. This is something I've been wondering about a lot lately. especially with creative people, but all people in general. I want to know how, moving forward, what positive things um, have you adopted into your life, into your daily routine, because of this total stop of society and culture as we know it. I'm curious to see where people have found room and time in their lives that they feel is valuable, worth keeping, when the pace of life starts to pick back up.
I like that. I like that. I've been talking about positive change a lot. So, uh, yeah. So for the people watching, the things that you've adopted that are positive, tag her, put them in the comments, and let's hear what you guys have going on. And I'm looking forward to seeing these results. And lastly, so that they can tag you and everything like that, tell the people where they can reach you, your website, your social media, all that stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Eli. You can find me on Instagram at Oxenblood. That's Oxenblood. And my website is oxenbloodart.com. Our tattoo shop website is ravenwoodcollective.com. Yeah, those are the main places that I'm at. So don't bother me on Facebook. I won't get back to you.
I like it. Brett, very honest. Well, Allie, I was not expecting to go on this big of a journey with you, but that was awesome. And I thank you for just telling all that, being cool enough to tell everybody all that on this. Um, Congratulations again. Everybody, don't forget about the raffle. Go check out the raffle. Um, and yeah, I just can't, I couldn't thank you enough. That was wild. I was not expecting that, but it was amazing.
Thank you so much, Eli. It was really cool getting to talk to you about babies and art and stuff. So
Hey,
I appreciate it.
we're just stripping it down to us being people.
I love it, man. This is really cool what you're doing.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. And so keep the little one. I can't believe how good your baby's been the entire time. It's like if I didn't know it was alive, it's just been chilling. I mean, and I mean, me being, I'm almost 6 times an uncle, so like I'm just used to pure chaos.
Yeah. Oh, well, that will come in time. This is the calm before the storm, when they
Yeah.
call the time.
Well,
Yeah.
I will release you so you can have some of your own free time before the storm hits, so you can enjoy a little bit of that calm. So thank you again, and yeah, whenever we're gonna have to circle back around because I'll be very interested to see how things play out for tattoo shops whenever the restrictions start lifting for you guys.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.